Well, Matt, it's great to have you on the show. Matt's in California now, around the beautiful Carmel area. Wish I was there. I'm in Traverse City, Michigan, where we're going through August, September, where everybody waits for November in the snow. Anyway, Matt, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, and thank you, Jim, for inviting me on. It's a real honor to be here. I'm very flattered.
Well, I'll tell you, when the people look at the photographs on YouTube, they're going to really be impressed because these are beautiful photographs, and it's a technique. And I don't want to get this technique screwed up. They're cyanotype toned. That's correct, right, Matt?
Yes, yes. So you make a regular cyanotype print. I use it's called classic cyanotype. There's something called new cyanotype or wear cyanotypes, but I use the classic. Make a cyanotype print, let it dry, and then immerse it in tea. And I use a tea called yerba mate from Peru, which you can buy on Amazon. And it gives us this nice sort of dark, um, approaching kind of a black and white look, but there's still a blue undertone to it.
Well, I
It's
found that.
something I've really become,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, it's just something I've become enamored with past several years. So,
When I looked at these, I thought I was walking back in time. To be honest with you, uh, what type of equipment are you using to do the photographs with?
but I shoot a Sony AR7 V. Um, I have three lenses that I use primarily: a Sony 1635 G Master, a Tamron 2875, and then a Sony 100 to 400 G Master. I
Okay.
also have a teleconverter that I have used on the long lens when I was in Africa. A Sony 1.5 teleconverter did a beautiful job. It was great. So
So
that's it.
do you travel quite a bit?
No, not that much. Africa was that was a big trip. And for those who haven't been, it's an amazing, amazing place. It's just really awesome to see those animals up close, personal, and totally free. You know, not in a zoo or small park or something, just out in the Serengeti. It's amazing.
And these photographs were primarily taken in Europe, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah, and the when I first looked at them, as I said earlier, I thought to myself, well, this is something that some of the old photographers would print. It takes you back to a time when you look at photographs and you say, my God, how did they do that? How did they accomplish that? And they're just very beautiful. And
Thank
an
you.
interesting thing about Matt's web page is he's got there's an entrance to it, and I'm gonna play a little bit of the of what it says, and it sort of gives you the gateway into these photographs. So let's listen to this. This is a piece from who is the author again, Matt?
John O'Donohue.
Yeah, exactly. And it's called The Invisible Embrace. And it leads us right into this. So let's listen to this.
The invisible embrace. That phrase, nostalgia for the eternal, nicely captures a feeling I remember from childhood, that I was once in a place now lost to me, where there was light, warmth, and peace. I get a similar feeling when I appreciate nature's beauty. It's as if the beautiful is somehow familiar to me. It's a place I once knew. It's a place for which I am nostalgic.
Yeah, there you have it. It's a segue that really fits the photographs. With that, let's take a look at the first photographs, and this is it's a stone mill. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a watermill in Cordoba, Spain, and it was built, 13, 1400, something like that. So in those two arches that you see, that was the aqueduct that fed the water into town. So the wheel, which obviously is not from the 1300s, it's been refurbished a couple times, but the wheel would lift the water up to the uh, channel on top of those arches, and it would flow into town.
So did you pre-visualize this, Matt?
No, I can't say I did. I mean, wandering the streets and along the river there, and saw this and thought it would be, an interesting thing to photograph. And so tried it from several different angles. And this is the one that I like the best.
Wow, it's a great photograph. It almost makes one feel that this is the 16th century, and you're standing in front of this this water wheel, and you just it's like I said in the beginning, it gives you that nostalgic feeling. Did it take you a long time to print this eventually and get it the way you want?
It was a little bit difficult. Yeah, it was a little bit difficult to get the right contrast on it. I don't know if many people are familiar with making digital negatives and, making a contact print from a digital image, but there's a process of making a negative on a sheet of transparency. And it was a little difficult to get things in balance and get the negative right. So I had to print it, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times probably to get a print that I liked.
Well, that's beautiful. Let's go on. Why don't you describe this? It's a bridge, obviously, in fog. It's a fortified bridge, I would imagine, or it looks like a fortified.
Yeah, so this is in a little town in France called Foix, Foix. And this was in January, so it was chilly. I mean, like -3 Celsius, so that's, I don't know, like 20 something degrees Fahrenheit. And so it was fog coming off the river. This is actually an iPhone picture. I was walking along the river and took it with my iPhone. And the bridge is 13th century. And up until like 20 years ago, there were cars driving over it. So I guess they built it to last.
It's interesting you did this with your iPhone. I think people always assume that you have to have, the most expensive equipment. And when you see a shot, you've got to take it, right?
Right. Well, they say the best camera is the one you have with you. So, the iPhone's usually in my pocket.
Yeah, it's you wouldn't have thought this was shot with an iPhone, but the iPhone really comes in handy when you don't have your regular camera with you. And the bridge, it all it almost feels like a Sherlock Holmes. I'm ready for Sherlock Holmes to walk across the bridge and
That's right.
Dr. Watson and so
And to look for clues on the railing or something.
it looks for clues and it's foggy. Oh, okay. And this is another bridge shot. Yeah.
So this was also from the trip to Spain. This is in Seville. And this was shot with my Sony. So this was, as was the first one. And it's just on the river there. And we took a little boat trip just to go up and down the river and see things from that viewpoint. And this was as we were passing under the bridge.
You know what I find interesting about this shot? I mean, it's the way you've used the shadows and the light. I mean, you can easily tell it's a bridge, and it still gives that, that nostalgic feeling to it.
Yeah.
Did you have to take a lot of shots to get to the one you wanted on this one?
Well, I took a lot of shots going under the bridge for sure, because I was looking at those, I don't know what you call them, struts or the supporting things. None of them really did much for me. So this was the one that I liked the best out of those. And I'll say one thing about the toning is it does tend to darken the picture. So it works well for things that you want that sort of darker mood. If you want a nice bright picture, the yerba mate tea isn't probably your cup of tea. To say it's probably not the right choice, but it's great for an image like this.
Do you find the selection process on this to be, I mean, because you're going and you're making a negative after this, I mean, what kind of selection process do you go through? I mean, is it, I don't know, are you able to describe it, or is it just something you feel when you look at it?
Well, it's certainly something, of course, so I'm looking at the images in color in Lightroom. And I'll go through, and of course, I take a lot of pictures, right? I mean, I think we probably all do when, digital is just, you could take a bunch, right? And I will highlight the ones that I think are worth further work. And then I'll start going through those and I'll convert them to black and white and work on them. And some of them, they just never come out right. I'm just never happy with the outcome. So those get, tossed in the rubbish pile, I guess. And then others that are working, I'll keep working on and then make a print of them. And you see how that looks. And if I'm still liking it, I'll tone it and see how that looks. And sometimes I'll work on, well, like I said, multiple iterations of adjusting the shadow values and adjusting the contrast to get something that I'm happy with. But it's really just different steps of the way. Do I like it? It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and that's really the prime thing. You got to like your photograph. If you don't like it, that's doesn't really make any difference whether somebody else likes it or not. It's really whether you like it. Your process, it seems, is I guess I was going to use the word laborious. It isn't. It's a process of, I guess you could use the word love, because when you go through this thing to make these photographs, it takes a while, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, it's certainly not as easy as making a digital print where you get to a certain point and you just say print and there you go. You have to, so I use Lightroom sort of as a catalog, and I select the ones I want, and then I bring them into Photoshop and make all the adjustments, convert it to black and white, adjust again, shadow, highlight, bios, contrast, all that stuff. And then make a digital negative out of it. You don't have to let it dry overnight, but I do. I let it sit, kind of cure overnight at least. And then make a print. And then the print's got to dry at least overnight, probably better 2 days, and then you tone it. So it's not a lot of work, but it stretches out over a period of time.
Yeah. Can't be anxious, can you? I mean, you can't, you don't want to rush the process.
No, you don't want to rush the process. To tone, the cyanotype really has to dry into the fibers of the paper. There's an actual chemical reaction between the tea and the cyanotype salts that causes it to tone. So those need to be dry and sort of found their home in the paper for the toning process to work.
Well, the next picture up, this was another Sherlock Holmes picture. This is really the Sherlock Holmes picture, Talk about this picture. It's an alleyway or a street.
Yes, and I can't remember the name of the town. Oh no, excuse me. This was in Foix. The bridge was not in Foix. So this was in Foix. And again, it is in iPhone picture. We were walking back from dinner, and there was fog coming off the river. And I heard a door close behind me, and I turned around and I saw these people walking down the street, and I, took a bunch of shots with the iPhone as they disappeared around the corner. This one required a fair amount of work because it's, the white balance was all off on it, but it wasn't terrible to get it back into shape.
The lighting just perfectly isolates the two people walking down the street.
Yeah, this is a real, this was luck. I gotta say, just serendipity here that they happened to come out of that doorway at the right time. I got them. They were just in the light. I mean, it's not like I set this up. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Wow, boy. And you had your iPhone. There you go.
And I had my iPhone, my trusty iPhone. Yep.
Okay, next one. When I saw this, I was thinking of the catacombs under the roots of Paris. Talking about this photo.
So this is the Spain trip. So we had a French trip and a France trip and a Spain trip. This is Spain. It's it's outside Seville in a former Roman colony named Italica, and this is a passageway in the amphitheater. So walking along in an inside kind of hallway thing, and turned and saw this. So this was again with the Sony. And I was fortunate to be able to capture the highlight detail in the back there. So it's just, not blown out and still get the shadow detail there.
Yeah. Now, you sent me 5 photographs. Do you have like a collection of these? I know you have your webpage. It's mattconnorphotography.com. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, super. And Matt has all of his photographs there. And I didn't look, but do you sell your photographs on that website?
I don't advertise I sell them. I say, contact me.
Okay.
But it's not, I don't have prices and a whole e-tailing thing going on there.
Here's the interesting.
If anybody wants to buy one, easy to, you can just hit the contact button.
Here's the interesting thing about those photos. And they're one-offs, I would assume, right? I mean, when I say they're one-offs, it would be difficult to duplicate one after another. Is that correct?
Yeah, there'll be tonal changes. It's impossible to get the exact same tone on every picture. Sometimes they're warmer, sometimes they're cooler, sometimes a little darker, sometimes a little lighter. It's just what is going on that day with the humidity and the batch of tea. Even though, I measure it out the same way every time, it just never quite comes out the same. So, if there's an edition of 10, they're not going to be 10 identical photographs. There's going to be some variation, and it's usually in the, it's the variation in the tone of the finished photograph.
And that's what I mean. That's why these are special, because we can we could do Lightroom and run off, prints of Point Lobo. They all look the same. That's not the case here, folks. These are that's why they're so special. If somebody wanted to learn about this process, where would you suggest they go to learn about the cyanotype process and so forth?
Well, cyanotypes, there's a book, and I'm trying to remember the author. She's really quite famous, but her name escapes me right now. But if you go on Amazon and look for a book on cyanotypes, you'll find it. Cyanotype, the process is actually pretty simple. You have two chemicals, two liquid chemicals, A and B, you mix them in equal amounts. You paint the sensitizer on the paper, let it dry, put the negative on it, put it in a contact print frame and expose it to UV light. Some people use sunlight, other people use a light box. I use a light box. So it's really a pretty simple process. You don't need a dark room. You just need a space that doesn't have UV light. Most LED lights don't have any light in the UV spectrum. So I'm working in full room light. I mean, I got the lights on when I'm doing this, and there's no problem at all. So you're not, working under a safe light. And toning is really just, you make up the tea, you let it cool down somewhat, around 130 degrees or so Fahrenheit, and you in a tray, and you slip the print in there, and kind of keep agitating a little bit so they don't get bubbles and stuff. And when it looks kind of what you want it to look like, you pull it out. It'll dry down a little bit darker, at least some of them do. There's a book by a woman named Annette Golaz, Golaz, about toning cyanotypes with botanicals. So there's that one.
Okay, super. Well, Matt, I really appreciate you having on the show. It's an honor to look at some great photographs, and hopefully, we can get you back on the show as, you do more and more work. And it was an honor to have you, sir. And I'm sure when people look at these photographs on the YouTube channel, they're probably going to want to know how to do the cyanotype, I would think. They're going to want to investigate it a little bit further, because it certainly gives you a feeling from 1902, doesn't it?
Well, it's one of the oldest processes, actually.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the oldest photographic processes. And actually, blueprints, if those of us who remember what a blueprint looked like, that's a cyanotype print.
Oh, okay,
So,
super.
Well, yeah.
Well, Matt, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Okay, Jim, it was great. Thank you so much for the invitation. I really do appreciate it.
Okay.